going on today, you beautiful, blessed boys and girls? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we got a really fun topic, one I'm excited about, share a little wisdom, a little expertise from me and my wife's journey through foster care, through being a parent here. Put out a question on Twitter here a couple days ago, just saying, hey, is there any questions you would like answered? Me and my wife have had the privilege now. We've had 7 babies in and out of our home over the last 2.5 years. Through foster care, we got to adopt 2 of those amazing boys, and we have one biological little angel who's 7 too. And so we've had a lot of kids in and out that's helped us, kind of learn a trick or two along the way. I'm kind of known best on social media and on Twitter for being a pretty high energy, present, fun-loving dad. I'm always getting in the mix, always playing, encouraging other dads to do the same. In fact, I get compared often to this guy right here. This is Phil from Modern Family, or I've never seen the show. I'm not sure. People always telling me that I remind him of that guy. I do need to check out that show and see, but yeah, pretty high energy, fun dad. To me, there's no bigger job or more important business than I'll ever run than my household and my kids and my family. And so I always want to ensure my best energy goes into my kids. I always encourage other people to do the same. And so we're going to do, I had a lot of people ask questions. We're going to get into those questions here in a minute. And this will probably be a 2 or 3 part series. There was just too many questions to get into one video. So let's hop into it. So the first question comes from this awesome guy, Jeremy McCall. I'm a teammate and fan of his on Twitter too. I love this guy. And his question says, what are your secrets to keeping them busy and playing so long? So a couple things here, Jeremy, and I think the number one thing is you got to model it, right? So, I see way too many parents, and moms and dads both guilty of this all the time, and I get it. You're working, you got other stresses, chores, bills, all these things, but right, people are coming, they're taking their kids to the park, they're taking their kids to a playland, and what do? They sit there glued to their phone, they sit there, telling their kids to run off and play. I've even seen some terrible examples of this this is 6-7 months ago when I was at a park, and I heard a dad literally tell his kid, if you bother me one more time, I'm taking you to the doctor and putting you on meds. I mean, it broke my heart. This kid was 5-6 years old. He just kept saying, hey, daddy, watch me go down the slide. Hey, daddy, watch me do this. Kids want attention, right? And so the number one thing to keep your kids playing outside, and I'm a big proponent of this, is, we don't have cable, we don't have Hulu, we don't have Disney, we don't have any of these things. So we're outside hours and hours a day, which I think is the best thing for kids. And so how do we do that? Well, we play with them. I'll fire up a couple pictures here. This is my wife out there just on swings with them every day. I mean, my wife is famous for, we take them to these playlands. And, most of the other moms are around the outside on their phone, browsing around. My wife is just famous for this. She's in the tunnel. She's tickling them. She's chasing them around. She's throwing them in the ball pit. She's diving in the ball pit herself. And I think, if you want your kids to really be engaged, play outside, well, you know what? It's going to be kind of the thing where it's monkey see, monkey do, right? And as parents, we set what's normal. And I think this is something we need to take ownership of parents. If we don't like a certain thing that our little children are doing, or our kids are doing, we need to look inward and say, well, where do they get that from, right? If I just come home and plop myself in front of the TV for 6 hours every day, and then I yell at my kids for watching too much TV, well, where do you think they get that? And I think we're seeing now a lot of parents are, they're getting on their kids for being on their phones too much. Well, get off your phone, be present. Well, what are we doing as parents to model that, right? And so I think it always needs to start with you in the home. You're going to set what's normal. My wife and I talked a couple years ago, 3 years ago, and we decided we didn't want TV to just be a normal thing for our kids. We didn't want them zoning out to 7-8 hours of TV a day. Now, look, I'm not all or nothing on this. We still have YouTube and some educational shows, and they definitely get in front of screens, hour or so a day. But it's really important for us to get them outside, to get them active, to promote that healthy lifestyle and get them moving. And so that's been a big shift that we've done. And so how do we keep our kids outside, Jeremy? We play with them. This is super fun. I can give a few ideas too. I lead scavenger hunts all the time. I mean, you think of these very kind of normal things, right? Like, well, let's just go get the mail. I try and make those magical events for my kids. I mean, I can show a picture up here. This is, me and my daughter, we dressed up as bunnies and we hopped to get the mail, and we were looking for other things along the way. Sometimes I'll do scavenger hunts. I'll do relay races. So these little ordinary things that might seem just ordinary, you can make them magical as a parent. Build forts, do relay races, go blow bubbles, go write in sidewalk chalk. I mean, being a parent to me is so cool because it gives us an excuse to be a kid again. Like yesterday, I had an hour Nerf gun battle with my 7-year-old. I mean, it's not really socially acceptable for almost 39-year-old men to have Nerf gun battles anymore. So being a parent allows me to do that. It's super fun for me. We're both moving, we're laughing, we're connecting. But also, I'm modeling that for my kid, So it's not like I'm sitting there looking at the clock thinking, oh man, we got to play another 20, 30 minutes or whatever. No, man, I'm just having fun and playing with the kids. So my big takeaway on that one, Jeremy, get out there, get in the mix, Who cares what the other people think, man? Just get in there and play with your kids. Have a blast. Second question here comes from Nino Digital Cafe. This guy's really awesome too. And his question is, what do you do when one is mean to the other? That's a great question. And this is one that I want to go ahead and preface by saying, I start off by saying, I don't think you should ever hit children. I think that there's, if you come from a family that hit, we need to be the ones to break that cycle, right? And to show kids that we're always calm. And you know what? They're children. There's times where I don't get enough sleep, where I'm a little more cranky than I should be, or I'm feeling sick or down, or I'm a little more cranky, but I'm old enough now to process those feelings and know where they're coming from. Our kids simply aren't, and so to hit them or to do things that are that severe, I think is always wrong. And I think should never be tolerated as parents. We need to do better than that. We need to be calm and teach them how to deal with these emotions rather than just hitting them and continuing that cycle. Now back to the question, what do we do when they're mean to each other? And I'll put up a funny picture here. This is one where my eldest son stole my youngest son's car and drove off, and you can see by that scowl on his face, he was not happy about it. So what do you do as parents in that situation? Now I think it does go back to the severity of it, right? And we've had times where our kids were biting, our kids were hitting, they were doing some of these things, and that needs to be dealt with obviously more severely than a stealing of a car, right? But I think that the main thing across all of this is that you need to remain calm as a parent. You need to pull them aside, have a little talk. Hey, buddy, your brother was playing with that. We need to share. We're going to give it to him for a couple minutes. Now, when they're 2, they're going to throw tantrums. I can vividly remember this day where when we took the car back and gave it back, he's laying on the ground throwing a tantrum. Again, you've got to just remain calm there, patting his back and saying, hey, buddy, it's going to be okay. You'll get the car back here in a few minutes, and you start to teach these little lessons. I think that's our job as parents, to always be pouring in and teaching these lessons. A big one here for me too, and this is I think an underutilized one for dads especially. Bro, I just pull out the tickle monster a lot, man. When my boys especially, or my daughter is starting to maybe talk back or maybe do some things I don't like, bro, I'm bigger than them, right? So I pick them up, I swing them upside down, I tickle them till they're about to pee their pants. I kind of make it a goofy thing, where, hey, you know what, buddy, you're not going to listen to me on this. All right, the tickle monster's coming out, and you can just redirect them in these areas. I mean, especially having 2-year-olds. We have 2 2-year-olds. At one time, our family had 3 1-year-olds, and it was just, chaos. They're always going all these different directions, and so you have to constantly redirect. You tell a kid you can't go here. What's the first thing he wants to do is go here. So, a great way to redirect that is just to, bring him back over here with a scoop him up and run him over again. Let's do an obstacle course. Let's do this. You just make some kind of fun thing and redirect them. Last question I'll hop into, and this comes from an awesome follower and a teammate here, Crypto1001. And he says, how do you teach kids to keep a balance between being confident and humble at the same time? I'm going to preface this by saying I think this is an amazing question, one that I kind of dug into a little bit more because I think I probably struggle with this. In fact, I put a couple pictures up of my little angel here. She's 7 now, but man, she's always had this pretty swagger about her. She's very confident. She's a great looking kid. She's smart. She's doing math at 7th and 8th grade levels in 2nd grade. And so she's very confident. And so we always are trying to kind of teach this a little bit, but I would say this is something that I need to get better at as well. I think ultimately, and we talk about this a lot with her and already starting to talk about this with our boys, is where does your confidence come from? Now, this might not be popular for everybody to say or anything, and I'm not one that's always going to push my faith on other people, but for me, the only real way I know how to answer this question is use my faith. If my confidence comes from my physical body or my appearance, I'm going to die a death. As I age, it's going to be brutal, right? Because I'm not going to be able to keep in shape. I can already see it. If I go out, drinking with buddies for one night, it takes 4 days to recover. When I was 22, I can get up the next day and go play basketball, right? So, if I'm putting stock and faith in that, I'm in for a hard road. If I put my faith and confidence in maybe money or stuff or things, well, those can be taken easily, and honestly, that's pretty fleeting. So to me and our family and what we teach is, where does your confidence truly come from? For us, it's that we're unique and created individuals as childs of God. And so, I want my daughter to be fully confident, be fully that, hey, any room she walks into, she can hold her own. She should have high boundaries and high standards. And we try and set those. I even take her on daddy-daughter dates once a month. My wife's great about taking her on dates too, where we're showing her and modeling her that, hey, this is what you expect. If people don't live up to that, that's okay. Not everybody's for everybody, and you don't need to put up with certain things. But you also need to be confident and know where that confidence comes from. You don't need to think you're better than people. You don't need to ever be arrogant. We're all sinners saved by grace in my eyes. And so my confidence is always going to come from God and knowing that I'm a child of God. And without him, I'm really nothing. And I try and impart that onto my kids too. The last point I'll make with that is, I think you need to teach them that preparation breeds confidence, right? And, my daughter is getting into soccer a little bit, and we're kicking the soccer ball around, and she made the comment one day, do you think I can be the best player on the team? And, she's never played in a league, and she's 7. And I told her, if you want to, you will not be at first. I don't want to set unreal expectations, but I told her you're more than capable of it. If you want to come after school every day and come out here and practice drills with me and play soccer and get a coach and put the work in, you absolutely can become, one of the best or the best, right? But it takes work. And so I'm always trying to impart that into our kids too, that, hey, nothing comes easy in life. You don't get to the places you want to go without putting in the work. And so I always want to preach that too, that, hey, your confidence comes from putting the work in. And so, telling them even from an early age that's very important. I appreciate you guys tuning in so much. Thanks so much for coming to the channel. We're growing a lot. We're putting out 3 pieces of content every single week. We got a podcast that launches every Friday with some amazing guests, piece of content out every Tuesday, and usually a short on Sunday. I really appreciate all the interaction and engagement. I really hope to grow this community a lot. I love interacting with you guys too in the comments. So I appreciate everything you guys put forth. My goal is just to spread positivity, spread kindness. So go bless up today. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Let's have the greatest day. Thanks, guys.